Hey, welcome back. That's what we're going to be working on this week. That was the piece is usually called Spanish Romance. There's not a composer listed with it; it's just anonymous. If you give me a little bit of grace, hopefully, I just I just learned that piece a couple days ago. I've been aware of it for a very long time because it's a very popular piece. And as I've been trying to think about pieces that may be good beginner pieces, this one came up because it's good for a beginner in a sense that aspects of it that are good for a beginner. The right hand is the same throughout the whole thing. It gets you some practice using chords with your left hand. And if it's, I would say, really, I'm going to be walking through some aspects of this piece of the sheet music here, and just give you some pointers about it. And then if you want to learn it, I would say print out the music and play along. There's some PDFs in the description. There's one with just the sheet music, and then there's a second version with the sheet music and tablature. I suggest using just the sheet music if you can. I don't have anything against tablature, but a lot of guitar sheet music only exists without tablature, so might as well just jump in and get used to reading it. Let me go to the music now, and let's discuss just the first measure and the right hand pattern that we're playing here. So let's look at the music for just a minute. We're in 3/4 time. Our key signature has 1 sharp. It's an F sharp. So we covered major scales a little bit a couple videos back. You may not remember, but the G major scale is the one with 1 sharp. And each major scale has a minor scale associated with it, or a corresponding minor scale. So in G major, the corresponding minor scale is E minor. And this piece happens to be in E minor. So the key of E minor has 1 sharp in it. Let's go ahead, and I'm just going to talk about only the first measure for a minute, okay? Just so we can get used to the right hand. So this piece starts on the 7th fret. Okay, go back to the sheet music for a second. This B here, that's going to be the 7th fret on the high E string. And again, if you go back a couple videos, you'll find where I uploaded a diagram with all the notes on the fingerboard. If you want to use that, you may need it to help find some of these notes. So we got this high B. This low E here is an open string, and also, sorry, I got my mouse in the wrong place. This high B here is going to be the 7th fret on the 1st string. And this next B is going to be the open B string, and then the open 3rd string. And this is the open low E. So let's go back to the guitar view for a second. So the pattern, the right hand pattern for most of this song is going to be, and I'm gonna ignore the thumb for a minute. It's going to be the ring finger on the 1st string, the middle finger on the 2nd string, and the index finger on the 3rd string. Okay. Another thing you'll notice in the music is that the higher notes are written with their own rhythm. So if we ignore the rest of the notes and just look at the top, like this B, 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 A, G. Okay. Just the way it's notated, it's telling you that these top notes are special. So they should be a melody that is clear on top of everything else. One way to do that is to pick that note harder. Another way to do it, I've talked about this before in other videos, about the difference between a rest stroke and a free stroke. Remember, a rest stroke is when you rest your finger, when you pluck a string and you rest it on the adjacent string. And a free stroke is when you just pluck the string and just let it go wherever. One way to bring out that top melody note is to do a rest stroke on the top note and then free strokes on the next two. And that's a little bit tricky. Takes a little bit of practice, right? And I think when I played it at the beginning of this video, I didn't actually do it that way for a lot of the measures. But you can see doing that really brings out the melody on top. Let's see what else we got here. Go back to the music. I'm just going to try to point out a few things about this and then let you take a stab at it. And again, there's tablature in another version below, if that is easier for you. So let's see. I'll do the first line first. Okay, so these are mostly open strings. You have mostly open strings in that same right hand picking pattern, and you're just walking down a scale, and you're on the first string. Same thing on the next line. Okay. One interesting thing here is this E, G, B. I'm using my first and my third finger, and I'm not, let me just go back to the guitar view for a minute. Okay. I've seen other versions of this piece telling you to use like the first finger on the 3rd fret, and then the pinky on the 7th fret, and then the pinky on the 12th fret. So like this. And that's a perfectly valid way to do it. The reason I like to use the 1st and the 3rd finger, and I'm showing a stretch here, but I'm not actually playing it like this. The reason I like to play it that way is because I end up with the ring finger on the 12th fret, and that gives me a lot of control over a vibrato. And it also makes it easier to walk down in the next measure. So the way I'm achieving that jump from fret 3 to fret 7, I'm actually moving my hand up a position. I'm not doing this, so make sure you don't do this. Do not do this. What you're gonna do, 3, move your whole hand, right? That takes a little bit of practice, but yeah, you'll get there. Next measure is going to be an A minor bar chord. Covered bar chords in the previous video. That's why I did the video before this one, to kind of prep for this. Then jump to a bar on the 7th fret. Back to open strings. Alright, this happens to be a D7 chord. We haven't covered that yet, but just so you know. Okay, alright. That's the first section before the repeats. Just FYI, I didn't take any repeats when I played it at the beginning of this video. But you may or may not, you may choose to take them or may choose to not take them. Alright, jump back to the music. Alright, so here we have this measure where my mouse is. That's finishing the first section. We could choose to repeat. I chose not to. I'm just jumping down to this next section. Alright, so this next section is has a key change in it. So you'll notice that we've jumped from E minor 1 sharp to E major, 4 sharps. So this is saying that every time you see an F or a C or a G or a D in the sheet music from this point forward, they're all sharps unless something says otherwise. So for example, measure 17 here. You got this G here. This is actually a G sharp, so it's not the 3rd fret, it's going to be the 4th. Same thing with this lower G. It's going to be the 1st fret instead of an open string. All right, so and then this part's a little bit tricky. The 2nd position, because your right hand's going to change. Your right hand is going to. Let me go to a different view here. Like you're starting here, right? And then when you jump up to 2nd position, your fingers are going to move from the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings. They're going to move back 1 string to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Okay. Something else, this symbol is probably new, this X. That is a double sharp. So that means, so a regular sharp, you move a note up 1 fret. Double sharp, you move it up 2 frets. And the reason it's notated that way in this music, because the other way to notate it would be to keep it, to make it a D, and then just like put a natural sign next to it, which we also haven't gone over, but you can like, you can undo, let's say, a sharp or a flat with a natural sign. The reason it uses a double sharp here, like a double C sharp, instead of just putting a D natural, is because if you put a D natural here, you would have to come back and make this a D sharp again. And also visually, this double sharp makes it clear that your phrase is like going down and back up, right? Okay. In the next measure here, in the 7th position, I think this might be the most difficult part of the piece, I think. So let's start from, I'll show you for a second. So we're in the 2nd position, right? Then we're going to jump up to 7th. And the difficult thing about that really is that jump. So we'll start the section from the beginning. Oops, sorry. Okay, so how do you, like, tips on doing that jump? You know, you can brute force it, right? Like, I can make it up there fast enough, right? But what I like to do is kind of almost take a breath between that 2nd position and the 7th position before I make that jump. So for example, right, little gap. It's not super obvious for an outside listener if you don't point it out, but it is helpful, and I think it does add a little bit of flavor to the piece as well. Right? Okay. Go back to the music. Yeah, just get some higher stuff up, some stuff higher up the fingerboard here. I've done my best to notate the fingerings here, and what position you're going to play in. And again, there's also tablature below if that's helpful. Yeah, I don't want to go over this too much because I've tried to notate it as well as I can. What I really wanted to go over was the right hand pattern, some tips on picking it, and some tips on those jumps, those transitions. And I've said this before with other stuff, but if you're really struggling with this or it's too much right now, it's totally cool if you just learn like the first 2 lines, and that's gonna have like all these open strings. So like, let me play the first 2 lines again. Even if you just learn those 2 lines, since you're getting started, if you're just getting started, that's going to be very helpful going forward, because it's going to teach you, it's going to let you practice bringing out a melody, combining rest strokes with free strokes. It's going to teach you how to move laterally up and down the fretboard, because up until now we've mostly just been staying in one spot. And yeah, even if you just do these first 2 lines, you're going to get something out of it. So yeah, don't stress too hard if it's too much. But if you've been playing for a while and you're just like let's say you've been playing guitar for like a few years and you're just trying to pick up classical guitar, you might want to try the whole piece, and that's cool too. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Yeah, if this video was helpful for you, please like. If you want to be notified when I upload another one, please subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.